Okay, there we go. It's like I have to give it a second for the mic to kick in. That's weird. But welcome to the BlueGamer Bluecast. This is it's November 3rd, so we're near the end of the year. That means when it comes to gaming, a lot going on. I'm your host Adam Blue, and I'm going to talk about the week in gaming and then some gaming news, things that have been going on, my interpretation. I've been following gaming for over 30 years. So I have a lot to say. Usually I like to start out with what I've been playing this week. So, I've been mainly playing Bloodline or no Bloodlines. That's the song that was playing. Bloodstained, which is that IGA Iga, however you pronounce his name, the guy that originally worked on Castlevania since was it since Rondo of Blood or since Dracula X up until I think he did that Harmony of Despair. I think that's what it was called, an Xbox. But it was, I think Order of Ecclesia was probably the last mainline entry he made on the Nintendo DS. But Bloodstained is pretty much that. It's just the next Castlevania made by him, and it's awesome. I'm actually 99% through the map. I know what I have to finish, so I'm kind of just grinding. That's something that I haven't had to do in a long time playing a Metroidvania, as the Castlevania Metroidvanias are kind of set up to where you do some grinding to level up your power sometimes, or to get certain weapons or certain things, or you could just try to be all skill and beat the bosses that way. For me, it's a mix of I have the skill, but also they could be hard. You know, these 2D bosses could be challenging. So, anyway, Bloodstained's a lot of fun. I can't believe I waited so long to play it. It was just one of those. Around the time it came out, I wasn't really looking to play a Metroidvania, and I'm glad I went through it. If you guys haven't played Bloodstained, you need to. It's up there with like the must-play games, I think, especially the pedigree of the developer, etc. Um, and you can't get more core Metroidvania than Bloodstained, other than Symphony of the Night and Metroid. But okay, other than that, Mario Wonder. So my wife and I beat it. Mainly, she was playing it. I would fill in if she had trouble with a boss, with the platforming section, with a Wonder Seed or something. I played some levels on my own. I went back to 100% levels that she went through. I helped her with the last boss the other day. The first attempt, I died. Second attempt, beat it, no problem. It was actually a fun yet disappointing last boss. That's not what I want from a last boss in a Mario game, but um, it's fun. It's kind of rhythm based, and it was kind of fun to play it. But it's very. I love Mario Wonder. It's probably in my top 5 of of the year. If I'm going to talk about games that came out in 2023, I would put Mario Wonder in the top 5, even though I, in some ways, I don't think it's superior than previous Mario's. In some ways, I almost feel like sometimes it's too noisy, and you can't really take the time to stop and appreciate the atmosphere the game gives you. And I mean, it's really a minor critique, but it is a critique I have. I feel like a lot of the game is made for you to rush through. I think the Sonic developers can take a lot. Mario Wonder, I know I talked about that in some previous episodes recently, since Sonic Superstars, I even forgot what it was called, came out, and that was a huge disappointment. Um, so Mario Wonder, it's in my top 5. I've beaten it. I haven't played all the levels yet. I will. I think it's fun. It's challenging. It's like fun. It's just basic fun. But they don't even need to call it Mario anymore. It could be called, Super Person World. I don't know. It's so far removed from Mario now. Like, I mean, you're an elephant running around watering flowers. That's not necessarily Mario gameplay. And with the added badges, it really just makes it more of just interesting ideas of all side scrollers, you know. And I guess it makes sense since Mario is kind of the father of the side scroller, perhaps, even though there's been others before that. It takes everything side scrollers have tried to do since Mario inspired them and puts them together. Interesting. It's interesting. But even then, with Mario Wonder, I would play a few levels and then I'd be done. That's you know what? Hold on 1 second. 1 second. I didn't want to have to. Audio seems to be okay. Audio's back. Sorry about that. Other people, but I'm gonna have patience for other people. Where was I? Mario, Wonder. That's that. Okay, what else have I been playing? RoboCop Rogue City. I haven't played too much, but I played enough for man. That's a great game. There's not much more to say. I've said it before. Based on the demo, it is exactly what an example of a movie to a video game should be like. Exactly. So yeah, I think that's. There's really not much more to say because I think you have to play it, and you might not like it, but it kind of has that sort of Fallout style gameplay where there's a lot of walking around talking to people, there's dialogue trees, but because I'm so familiar with RoboCop and loved it as a kid, like I recognize everything I'm doing and I feel like I'm in that RoboCop world. I have trouble putting myself in worlds that I don't care about, like Fallout, like Skyrim. I don't know what any of this is, so I kind of don't care. And that's, I think, what makes me different from other gamers when it comes to that stuff. Okay, so RoboCop, Mario, Bloodstained, Modern Warfare 3 campaign. So here's the thing. They said that they were going to have an open mission campaign design. And you know what? They do. And it's not bad, but it could be better. So it's almost like what I like from Sniper Elite 5, where you have these giant levels that you just approach the missions however you want. Except in Modern Warfare 3, they're a little small, but I don't mind because it's that whole thing of go through, do the missions, and go play it again to find all the unlocks, which are like specialized weapons, and then you can use those. You can modify your loadout for campaign missions. And the way I guess you grab things, it's almost like what they've been doing with Warzone lately, or DMZ, where you have, the armor that you put on and how you pick up items in the world. It looks like Warzone. I actually forgot if the Modern Warfare 2 campaign did that. I played and beat it. Like, I saw the achievement. It was like October 20-something of last year. I got the achievement for beating Modern Warfare 2 campaign. So the third one, yeah, has those Warzone elements. I just don't know if that's... well, it was into, but I guess the point I'm really trying to get into is I like the direction they're going with the missions. I do like that you start and it's just this big open area. It has a fog of war on the map that you have to reveal. It is a little more challenging than Sniper Elite, maybe. I guess unless I just played Sniper Elite so much, I figured it out. But like, in Call of Duty, and it's always been like this with their single-player missions, sometimes they make the enemies, like, overpowered, or, like, they can see you everywhere from every direction. In this, you can kind of, like, hide, and then they lose you, which, again, is a pretty neat thing, just like Sniper Elite 5. But it's pretty cool. And there's certain things, like, I ended up climbing this real high area on the map, and then I parachuted to this roof of a building, which was completely optional. But I got an achievement for doing that. So I like the idea that there's certain little gameplay experiences you can do and have like a little scorecard with the achievement list and being like, okay, I need to do this and this and this and this. It's really cool. Lots of cool weapons to unlock as you're playing and to use. And I never feel like it's almost like they make it where you don't have to worry about running out of ammo. It's more like here's all these options for how you want to play. So far, I think this was a good design next step for Call of Duty single-player missions, because I found they're usually pretty straightforward and boring. There's been some highlights, like I think it was either Advanced or Infinite Warfare that had all the space combat. That was pretty awesome. And then there's been some where they kind of had like choices that you can make in the mission. It could change how things, I think it was like Black Ops 2 or something. So the thing with Modern Warfare 3 though is like, is it worth spending $70 on a new one, a new year? And I think so. I think with the whole multiplayer maps from the original Modern Warfare 2 and the single player campaign that has this new open mission structure and how good it looks, like the presentation, that's a game to me that, yeah, that's worth $70. It's no Bloodstained. It's no Mario Wonder. It's no RoboCop in terms of using the art to its fullest. You know, Call of Duty is a cinematic experience. It's more of the popcorn fun, and it does it. It pulls it off. It does a really good job of it. And I think that's really all I've been playing this past week. Because, you know, granted, I list off a lot of games, but I don't really have so much time. I think out of all those, I played Bloodstained the most. I didn't play Call of Duty for a couple days there, or I didn't play Call of Duty for a couple days there, and I just played a few maps of Modern Warfare 3, and I streamed RoboCop on Halloween, which is pretty fun. And speaking of Halloween, if you guys didn't see that stream, I dressed as Alucard from Castlevania. I thought that was a good idea. Castlevania is very Halloween in itself. Yeah, so that was cool. So that's about it. Hey, Talos, good to see you. Good to see you. Okay, so next I want to touch on the news. So first off, Microsoft bans unauthorized third-party Xbox controllers and accessories. Now, you know, based on the past few streams I've been doing, and I forgot if I talked about this controller last time, because I know I've talked about two others. This is the Vader 3 Pro. Amazing controller. Yeah, I think I talked about it. I have the T4, GameSir T4 K-Lid, I think it's called, and then the Machinike G5 Pro. All excellent controllers. But out of all those, none of them play on Xbox, and there's a reason for that. But let's look at this. Microsoft is putting its foot down when it comes to unauthorized controller use. The company has begun banning any third-party Xbox controllers and accessories that aren't part of the Design for Xbox Hardware Partner Program. A gamer posted the news to Reset Era after plugging in an Xbox-compatible controller and receiving a notification about the ban. Microsoft's motivation for the crackdown could stem, so this is now just conjecture, made up stuff, in part from a desire to block cheat devices like Cronus Zen. Fellow gaming companies have been working hard to ban their use during gameplay. Of course, Microsoft's issue could also stem from probable increase in sales of their own control. I think that bottom part is not even the. I'll get to what I think it really is. So, one, I doubt it has to do with the crackdown on cheating, because that stuff is easily detectable. I've even seen people complain that when they're playing Call of Duty, that they'll have a ban because it detected like turbo on their controller. And that's the thing. Some of these third-party controllers have like a turbo function, and that's kind of what they want to try. I'm saying they want to stop, but no, that's what people are thinking Microsoft's trying to stop. But games, it's detected on a game-to-game basis a lot of the times. And you don't see a huge outcry of cheating to be a problem to where companies are then having to like shut down servers for a while. Usually, you know, there's the anti-cheat stuff, which people hate, but it's like, I mean, what else are you gonna do? But anyway, the point is, I don't think the cheating's the issue. The other part is to increase the sales of their own controllers and accessories, and I do think that is partially true. But here's what I'm thinking it's going to lead to. I think eventually Microsoft is going to worry less about an Xbox hardware platform and maybe make it more about their controller platform. Make a controller that has a streaming function built in to go to any monitor or computer or TV to then stream Game Pass. And so I think their idea is you only do it from an official Xbox controller. I think that is what they're, and really for people that want to have a more customized experience, that's where the PC comes in, because I can play Xbox Game Pass on PC with any PC controller and it's not going to ban me. It's only the hardware itself. The hardware sector is for more of the mainstream casual and not the PC players. So what I think they're trying to do is set up this kind of gaming ecosystem where instead of the Xbox being the hardware, the centralized hardware, it is their controller used to stream Game Pass to whatever display device you're using. I think that's what their plan is going to be, and I just think they're just trying to get ahead of it to get people used to that, because I just don't. Microsoft's pretty open about things. This would go against most of their philosophy when it comes to gaming. So I think there's more to it than we know so far. All right, this next one. So this was speculation that I made a few podcasts ago, because we already know Hideki Kamiya had left Platinum. Oh, I always get, and then because Clover was another thing that Shinji Mikami then had Grasshopper with Bethesda under Xbox. He recently left. So once I heard he left, I was like, wait a minute, these two could meet back up again, because they used to when they were at Capcom, and they could team back up again and make games. And now there's this thing, Shinji Mikami and Hideki Kamiya set to host talk on careers and future plans. Why would they together host a talk about their career and future plans unless they're trying to announce, yeah, we're going to start up a new studio again, and then it could be Microsoft or Sony like, well, hey, want to make some games for us? Or could it be EA or, a bigger publisher, because there's not many left now, trying to get them to develop a game? I really think that's what's going on here. And I mean, to be honest, I don't care about the nature of the conversation itself. I just think it's cool to see these two guys come back together. Because here's the thing. I think once they left their respective studios that made them popular, they were still putting out good games, but I think it was under like immense budgetary constraints, considering the direction the industry has been going the past 10 to 15 years, where budgets are super huge and they're expecting a huge return. And, for instance, Kamiya came out with Soul Cresta, which seemed cool, but full price for a shmup based on an older shmup. It just kind of like, well, why can't that be just like $20 or $15? But this is the way that company was set up. They were really kind of limited in what they could do. Oh my gosh, the phone is ringing off the hook. Okay. So yeah, really interested to see. I mean, could Capcom then tap in and be like, "Hey, yeah, let's do Resident Evil 5 remake"? I don't know. I'm just making up stuff, but cool to see these two coming back together. Interested to see what they do. All right, Destiny 2 developer Bungie lays off dozens of staff. So I want to say layoffs happen all the time, and sometimes they suck. Most of the time, it's due to the expectations of return not unfolding as expected. And we saw Sony get desperate and buy Bungie for their games as a service initiative. And now we're seeing that companies are finding out you can't just do games as a service and it works. You have to make a good game. And then maybe if it calls for it, put a service on top of it. But Sony did a huge layoff thing. I think I might have talked about it in the last episode. That might have been the Microsoft reorg, but Sony did a huge layoff. Their CEO is going to be leaving Sony soon. Connie Booth, that's been there for over 25 years, has been pivotal part of the PlayStation games. Her and a bunch of people part of that team are going to be gone. So I think Sony realized, wait a minute, we can't do games as a service. Well, we can't just rely on that. We can't bank on that. This is that future. It's like, again, let's borrow money with high interest rate to pay for these people to do these games as a service stuff. And then the market is pretty much saying it's not that people want games as a service, just sometimes the service aspect works. Like with Fortnite, we could see with Apex Legends, that's kind of teetering off. It's just funny to see game publishers make the same mistake over and over. And even with Bungie, they're saying that it has nothing to do with Sony. Oh, it most certainly has to do with Sony. They are now run by Sony. Sony is making the decisions for them. Bungie isn't going to make decisions for themselves when they have a game marathon that's going to be coming out, and they have the service platforms that they've been working on. Apparently for The Last of Us, they were helping with the games as a service element. That team got laid off. I think that project got shut down. So we're just seeing where, man, Sony has been making these kind of the wrong moves, I guess, with the gaming moving forward. And I think Microsoft did the smart thing. They're just like, well, let's just build our library games by acquiring someone. And Sony's like, well, let's just make a bunch of games as a service games. And that didn't work. It's very interesting to see this. And it's something that even I was, and it's not just the games as a service. Let me be clear, because it's also that they have stuck to this very like narrative-driven game approach with the marketing pushing these so much. Like Horizon, they've pushed Horizon, but really people don't care too much about Horizon. God of War, people are liking the God of War games, but they don't have that flair to it like Spider-Man, and that's Insomniac. That's already a developer that's done well even on Xbox. So that's less of a Sony thing and more of that Sony has a good developer under them. It's very interesting to see what's going on with Sony. I mean, I almost feel like they might be in a situation where they get bought if they don't come up with something. With their CEO leaving, with the layoffs, canceling the games as a service stuff. What are their plans? What are they doing? In my opinion, what I think Sony should do is buy or somehow work with Konami to bring back a bunch of their old properties, IP that's already established, make them free on PlayStation Plus, and then make new games based on those IPs. Another thing is I honestly think they should do is use David Jaffe as a consultant. David Jaffe still has a love for video games. He's always critiquing what PlayStation's been doing because he's with them for so long. He still has great ideas, and it's usually about the core gameplay, not the marketing, not how do you maximize profit on this. It's for him, it's all about the gameplay, and I think they should tap him for another Twisted Metal. I know there's rumor they're working on it because Sony has that show that came out, and usually you would coincide that with a game. There's a lot. Sony needs to not worry about games not all being these giant narrative-driven things. Bring back the PS All-Stars fighting game. Because if you have people that are PlayStation-only people and not Switch-only people, if they have a Smash Brothers style game on their platform, they're going to buy it. The original PS All-Stars was fun. I played a lot of that, and it was even cross-play on the Vita and the PS3 back when it came out, which that was an awesome thing they did back then. They need to be doing that stuff, and that's why I said, like, with Konami, get a new Gradius out there, new Castlevania, maybe. With Microsoft having so many exclusive games now, like, Sony needs to look at it that way. How can we get games exclusive to the platform that people love? And Sony was just thinking, if we can't make something cinematic, how can we make it a games as a service? So anyway, that's just me doing a lot of little complaining, but that's where Sony is. And Sony needs to do something about it. So that's about it for this week. Sorry for that little pause in the middle. I'm going to have to edit that out later, even though it's live, but I was just getting a phone call over and over from someone. They just had to bring something up to me, and I was like, okay. I thought it was an emergency. And for the rest of the week, I think this weekend I'm going to be mainly, I'm hopefully going to beat Bloodstain, because again, I'm 99% done with the map, and I'm just right now grinding to get the last boss done easier. And then I think I'm going to do off and on, because I usually play games in little chunks. I'm going to do some RoboCop, Modern Warfare 3, RoboCop. That might be my main games this weekend, but since they're both first-person shooters, I might throw in, you know what? Since I was playing Bloodstain, I was like, man, what's another Metroidvania thing? And there's the Castlevania add-on for Dead Cells, so I'm going to probably play that then. That will be my little 2D among the FPSs. And dude, the other crazy thing is I'm getting the floors replaced in my office, so I have to move everything out of here. That's going to be pretty crazy. I got to move everything out of here, figure out a setup for a few days so I can work and maybe play games, but that'll be interesting. And then, the last thing I wanted to bring up, because I haven't been talking about Spider-Man too much, even though I want to play it, but I'm just going to save that for later. It seems like for the past few years, like when the original Spider-Man came out, I played it and had fun, and then just kind of fell off of it, and then over Christmas break beat it. Same with Miles. It's very interesting how it's like those Spider-Man games are fun, but they don't hold my attention for long. And I think it's the repetitive nature of it. Hopefully the second one kind of fixes some of that. But anyway, guys, thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed this episode, and we will talk later.